Well, hello, boys and girls, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the review of the epic science fiction drama directed by the legendary Francis Ford Coppola, Megalopolis, which stars Adam Driver, Gene Carlos Esposito, Natalie Emanuel, Audrey Plaza, Shia LaBeouf, John Voight, Lawrence Fishburne. Who else is in this movie? Dustin Hoffman, and Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny, I think, make a cameo as well. Everybody is in this film, and this is set in a kind of a modern United States, a reimagining, if you will, United States, and it follows a visionary architect by the name of Caesar, who is portrayed by Adam Driver, as he clashes with a corrupt mayor, portrayed by Gene Carlos Esposito, in determining how to rebuild a metropolis of New Rome, or also known as Megalopolis, a futuristic utopia. This film referenced characters involved in the fall of Rome back in the day. So this is a story that Francis Ford Coppola has been trying to get off the ground for years. To put it accurate, I think about 40 years he's been trying to get this film off the ground. This is a passion project for him. He developed it all the way back in 1977 when he first came up with the idea for this film. He actually started developing it actively in 1983. But just couldn't get the the budget and all this here, because a film like this, it wasn't gonna there's no way they could have made this back in the 80s or whatever. But it was a fight for him to get this film off the ground. He went to every studio. Nobody wanted to make it. So eventually he had to put his money where his mouth is, and he financed the film himself. He self-financed this film. He spent $120 million of his own money to make this movie. He had to sell, because Francis Ford Coppola is not only known for being a legendary filmmaker, with the Godfather films, Apocalypse Now, and so on, but he's also known for owning a winery. He sells wine, he has his own vineyards and everything, and he sold, I think, a good portion of his vineyards in order to finance this film, his passion project. This is a true art. This is his canvas here that he put on the screen. Finally, after 40 plus years of fighting to get this made. For that, I admire him to the highest degree. The product that we got, not so much. This was one of the most boring movies I have ever watched. And it's a mind-boggling experience, because while watching this movie, in the middle of watching the movie, I'm sitting there not liking it, really mad because I'm watching it, because this is 2 hours of my life that I'll never get back. And only thing that kept running through my mind was, if I review this film and go off on it and share my true feelings about it 10, 20 years down the line, if I'm still doing this, I'm probably going to come back and say, you know what? I revisit Megalopolis, and it was misunderstood back in 2024. And that's what kept going through my mind. And so I started paying attention to the film, giving it extra attention. Maybe it's something there that I can latch on to, like, okay, I can see where Francis Ford Coppola is trying to show this, that, and third. No, it didn't. It didn't happen. If somebody appreciates this film, God bless you, man. I really admire that, because I have no idea what this movie was speaking on. And I get the fall of Rome. I know thinking about the Roman Empire is like one of the biggest things in a lot of people's life. And this was basically an interpretation of that, or a portion, I should say, of that tale. And so this is a fable. It lets you know that right away before the movie even starts. This is a fable. This isn't going to be your typical movie going experience. And so there's no shocks there. But the movie was just all over the place. This movie had no anchor. Did it want to be this sophisticated Shakespearean type film, or was it this futuristic, utopian, dystopian type feel, or was it a modern take, or it couldn't settle on a tone at all. It was like uh Francis Ford Coppola was just throwing everything at it. You know what I'm saying? It's weird. It's just a weird movie that makes no sense. Adam Driver, who I'm a huge fan of. Adam Driver is great in every movie that he's in. He was in a movie a couple of years ago, 65, about the dinosaurs, where he went back in time. Well, I don't think he went back in time. It was some type of weird uh explanation to that film. But anyways, the movie wasn't that good, but he was good in it. The Star Wars film. He plays Kylo Ren. In case y'all don't know who Adam Driver is, he was great as Kylo Ren. Well, what filmmakers and Lucasfilms did to that character, that wasn't his fault, but it was his performance was great. In here, I think he's giving obviously the best performance in this film. He's really giving it his all. But the movie wasn't good. It's like the material he was given wasn't good. And another thing I thought about while watching this film, Adam Driver turned down Marvel Studios. He turned down the opportunity to play Reed Richards in the Fantastic Four. Now, it has nothing to do with this film, but I'm just saying he turned it down. And the reason I bring that up, you turned down Fantastic Four, but you accepted this. And now I know that, you had the opportunity to work with Francis Ford Coppola. I get it. He's the director of The Godfather. Hey, I understand that. But you should have took one look at that script and said, thanks, but no thanks. This makes no sense. It's look, like I said, I didn't connect to it. And I like stories about the Roman Empire. I like stories set in that time period, being a period piece type deal. But trying to set it in a modern time, but you still talk as if you was in 60 BC, where the Roman Empire took place or whatever. It just was ridiculous to me. It didn't fit. It didn't fit at all. The other performances in this film, who would I say also did great? Well, nobody did great, and that includes Adam Driver, but the cast was just there, and they did the best they could. It really wasn't any standout performances. There were performances that made you scratch your head like, why are they even in this movie? Not so much the actor, but the character. It was like, what are they doing in this movie? You're just putting people in this film. It's ridiculous. It was ridiculous. This was, I would say disappointing, but I had no expectation for it. I guess disappointment in the level of the talent that was involved. This is Francis Ford Coppola. And Francis Ford Coppola, not every movie he made was great. He knocked it out the park. Of course, with The Godfather, with The Godfather Part 2, not so much with The Godfather Part 3. That wasn't, it was an all right movie, but to put it in there with the previous two Godfather films, it's a far cry from those films. Jack was not an all right, it was an all right film. I never was a Apocalypse Now guy. I thought it was all right for what it was, but it never really resonated with me. But I could see the artistry in it. I get it. It wasn't horrible, but it just didn't. It's not one of those films that if it's on, I gotta watch it. Now, his take on Dracula, and a lot of people don't talk about this film. Bram Stoker's Dracula, that starred Gary Oldman as Dracula. Uh, he directed that film. I love that. That was probably one of the best Dracula films I ever saw. Me personally, I love that movie. He did great there, but nothing else really stands out with me with Francis Ford Coppola. I understand why he is considered a national treasure when it comes to filmmaking, because when he's on, he's on. He's one of the greats, but when he's off, he is off, and he is truly off on this. And it's really upsetting because this is a movie that he tried so hard, so long to make. He put up his own money to make, and it crashed and burned. And I, you got to think of your own life. When you have a passion, when you have something that you're trying to accomplish, and nobody else can see it. You have this vision, but nobody else can see it, and you're trying your hardest to bring it to fruition, and you finally do it, and it just is like a rock sinking to the bottom of the river or something like that, and it's soul crushing. And that's basically what this movie did. And I was wondering why, when they filmed this movie or finished filming this movie, and he shopped it around to every studio in Hollywood, and everybody said no. Everybody said no. Not even streaming services wanted to release. I mean, everybody turned it down after they watched it. And immediately I knew, like, yep, this is not going to be good. Now that's not saying much, because there have been films, just peeking behind the curtain here, there have been films in Hollywood that there was a all-out war for. There was a bidding war for these properties and projects, and I mean, studios were just coughing up money to get this project, and a studio finally won the bid, and you see the movie, and it's like, huh? This is what y'all was fighting over. So it goes both ways, but I knew immediately with this was not going to work, but I was willing to give it a shot. I gave it a shot, and sadly for Francis Ford Coppola, it missed the mark completely. Megalopolis gets a letter grade of an F. Yeah, it's so forgettable. I forgot everything about this movie. That's why you didn't hear me talk much about. I forgot it. I said I watched it, but it was nothing about this movie that I take away. Like, well, at least that was a good scene, or at least that I like that shot in it. It was nothing, nothing about it. Sadly. I mean, there were some beautiful shots. Don't get me wrong. I actually take that back. The film looks gorgeous. It looks great. The cinematography was beautiful. But that's it. It's like watching a painting. But I'm not paying to watch a painting. I want to. This is a motion picture I want to see. But yeah, unfortunately, this just did not do it for me. I would like to know, did you check out Megalopolis? Are you one of the 5 people who went and saw it over the weekend? Or are you waiting for it to come on television? I'm pretty sure everybody is. It's just not worth it. This is one of the rare movies I do not recommend going to see. It is a waste of time. It will bore you to tears. I had to fight at one point in this film. I had to fight to stay awake. I had to trick myself. I had to lie to myself, like, we're almost to the end, and it wasn't. I knew we weren't. It was in the middle of the film, but I was like it's almost over. Just stay up. And so I had to trick myself to stay awake to finish watching this movie. But it is what it is. I would like to know your thoughts. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You could also search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube and like this video if you don't mind. Also, don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review of Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis. Want you all to know that I love you, continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.